Josh, I want to thank you so much again for joining us at Networking in Nature this morning. It was an absolute delight having you along, and without a doubt, everyone found your story really inspiring, what you and the team have been able to achieve with Humanitix thus far so early on in the journey is really exciting, and it's incredible to see the impact that you're having. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, thanks for having me.
And just as a bit of a take-home for those who weren't able to join us, I thought we might have a quick chat about some of those points that you were discussing along the walk today. And the first one is probably applicable to anyone in business, not just social enterprise, and that was when you were talking about your relationship with your co-founder, Adam, and how you credit, a lot of the success and where you've been able to get with Humanitix. You credit that to, I guess, the ground rules and that basis of friendship that you had with Adam. And I thought that was really powerful. Would you mind just recapping that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just to start, I take my hat off to anyone who's built something on their own. I couldn't do it. And so with Humanitix, it's been incredibly challenging, obviously. And I've always been incredibly grateful that I've got a rock-solid co-founder and a rock-solid relationship. So just for the context there, myself and Adam McCurdie have been pretty much best mates for 11 years. And we've always wanted to do something along the lines of Humanitix together. But obviously when we were younger, we didn't know what form that would take. I would have bet my life that it wouldn't be a ticketing social enterprise at that stage. And so when we started going down this journey together, starting a business, even if it's got no equity because it's a charity, you're still running a social enterprise. And I got told by a lot of people, be careful, because when you go into business with family or friends, like, things can end really ugly. And so we sat down and we decided that the biggest risk was actually our friendship. And so we came up with 2 rules before we started. One was that a recognition more than a rule, that at different times one of you is going to be working harder than the other, just because we have different skill sets. So Adam's better with technology, for example. I'm better with finance, for example. His background's engineering and maths, mine was finance. And so different times the business is going to need you to work on the weekend because of tech. And I might be on a date with my girlfriend, or vice versa. Adam might be at the beach or with his partner when I'm really working really hard. As long as you recognize that you've both got great work ethics and don't go into business with a partner that doesn't have a similar work ethic to you, then that gets rid of a lot of the potential animosity when you're working long weekends and long hours and your partner's not having to. The other key rule was that as soon as you're conscious that they're doing something that upsets you, raise it straight away. And if you don't raise it straight away and you say raise it 3 months ago that, hey John, you keep borrowing my pens and not returning them, if I tell you that 2 months later, then it's actually my fault, and you should call me out on that. Like, how long has this been happening and why haven't I heard of it before? And it can sound really petty, and that's why most people don't say things. A, because it can be uncomfortable to tell someone they're doing something wrong, but B, also because it can come across really petty. But if you just have that as a rule, then it's not petty because you had to tell them, and it gets rid of 99.9% of the things that end up being stupid fights later on about bad communication. And so yeah, we're still best mates. He's getting married in April at my parents' house. We hang out on the weekends, even though we're stressed doing Humanitix all week together. So I'm really proud of the friendship, that it's actually gotten stronger. And touch wood, it doesn't change.
Hey, that's pretty incredible to hear, and I think super valuable. I think everyone would agree that, and even today somebody commented, wow, that would be such a great recipe to tell people before they're getting married. I mean, it's more than just going into business. But yeah, having some of those simple rules, and like you said, it's actually made a huge difference in just day to day, the trajectory of the business, but also the relationship you've been able to maintain with each other throughout, which is really important. The next piece I wanted to just touch on really briefly in the wrap up was this concept of effective altruism versus, more of an emotionally driven sense of contributing. Because this is a clear distinction that you made a couple of times, particularly around your work with Humanitix, which now you shared some of the figures with us this morning, but Humanitix is now making a significant impact in terms of the not-for-profit and the causes that you're supporting. But yeah, talk to us a little bit about that distinction between what's an effective altruism and what is sort of more an emotionally charged desire to make a difference.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give a few examples, but to me, effective altruism is trying to maximize your impact with the set amount of resources. Say you've got $1 million to give away, and you can save 1,000 lives or 10 lives with that money, then you should always pick the 10,000 lives. The problem with humans and our behavioral makeup is that we're often would choose the 10 lives over the 1,000 lives because maybe it's something that directly affects us, or maybe it's something that we saw first, or that was better marketed to us. And so it's about always trying to become unemotional about your contribution and look at, if you care most about trees, how many trees can you save with the set amount of resources? If you care most about education, how many kids can you educate, or whatever it is you're educating? And so to Humanitix, that's really fundamental because we see it all the time. People, and it's still good. Either way, giving's good. But you'll go to a company, for example, that lets their staff volunteer a few days, and you might have a genius software engineer in a technology company who then goes and paints walls in a charity for 3 days. He feels good. The charity's benefited. They got painted walls. But what an inefficient way to fix the world. So, firstly, he could have stayed working at the tech company, earning $300K a year, and employed 1,000 tradespeople for a day to do that job, or whatever it might be. Or more importantly, he could have gone in there and coded for them and built them a really interesting application. But that wouldn't have felt good. It wouldn't have given him the same kick. It wouldn't have, and so a lot of giving is more emotional, but the world would be a much better place and a lot more ethical place if we tried to be effective altruists, as opposed to what you said before, emotional altruists, which I like the term. I haven't heard that before. And so I spend my day selling tickets, fixing technology. The purpose of that is to give young girls an education in India when they would have been otherwise illiterate, or to help Indigenous kids get a scholarship to go to a great school in Australia. I'm so far removed from the front end that my day is fixing ticketing problems and competing in the ticketing market. But to me, that's a pure effective altruism overlay, because I feel like I can actually do more for the kid who needs an education than I could if I just ran off and tried to be that kid's mentor one-on-one.
And just as a final wrap up, because I know when you put this question to the audience at the end of the session today, a lot of people said, wow, geez, I think I need a bit more time to think about this question. And it's one that people really wanted to do the thinking about. So I thought, why not share it with everyone who might be watching this video around how they can maximize their positive impact in the world. So
yeah, sure, thanks. 10 years ago, I would have bet my life that I wouldn't be running a ticketing organization of any type. But it actually uses my skill sets perfectly to make social impact. So my question to the group was, think about what your core competency is, whether it's, coding, maths, marketing, people, whatever it might be. And I challenge you, if you haven't already, to think about how you can use your core competency to drive the most social impact about the thing that you most care about for contributing, rather than doing what so many people do, which is, I'm a brilliant this, but when it comes to giving, I throw away my core competency and I paint walls, or I do whatever it is. If you can think about that and find a way where you can make more impact, then my challenge to you would be to go down that path a bit.
So that's one for us all to reflect on. And that's it for us for today. Until next time, we wish you all the best. And wherever this video finds you, have an amazing day. Thanks again, Josh Ross. It was an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me. Cheers,
Welcome
John.
anytime.